All right.
Okay, let me just ask you something. When growing up in Idaho, were you a Vandal fan?
You know, I went to a lot of the University of Idaho's football games every chance I had an opportunity. And I'd say, yeah, I was a fan, especially certain players. I mean, growing up watching guys like Kenny Hobart and John Freeze and Jeff Robinson and Casey Dunn. I mean, there was a lot of really good players that went through there at the time. And I also kind of, because I knew I wanted to be a coach, I really paid attention. There were some great coaches that went through the University of Idaho during that time as well. You started off, obviously, Dennis Erickson, a Montana State alum, and then John L. Smith and Keith Gilbertson, who I got an opportunity to kind of become friends with. He does some radio stuff for the Huskies as a former coach over there. So a lot of ties and connections. My youngest brother's a Vandal. Got a mechanical engineering degree from the University of Idaho. Many friends that I went to high school and college with, and I still remain have a lot of very close ties to that area because we have a place in Coeur d'Alene. So that's it's a place that I have a lot of connections to.
Were you upset they didn't recruit you?
Well, I don't think I was good enough or smart enough, so I didn't take it personally at the time. My middle brother played football there for a little bit, and then finished up playing baseball, and so it was, you know, I think it all worked out the way it was supposed to. I had a great college opportunity there in Dillon, and met a lot of really good people, including my wife.
All right, let's talk about what you've seen from Idaho. What can you expect from them?
Well, I think what stands out to me the most about the University of Idaho is just their efficiency on offense. They averaged over 30 points a game, or in the top 25 in total yards per game last year in the FBS. Veteran quarterback, veteran O-line. Their playmakers are kind of their tight ends, and they have the Hightower kid, number 6, that they can stretch the field vertically with. So I think they've got a lot of options in the passing game in particular. And I just think the one thing you can tell watching tape is you can tell that the Linehan kid is a coach's kid. I mean, he's very poised. He knows he takes what the defense gives him. He doesn't force the ball a lot. He's mobile, probably a little bit more mobile than most people would think for a big, tall quarterback. And so he does some really good things, both in terms of decision making and accuracy, and also in terms of being able to get out of trouble.
Do they have a veteran team, obviously? How difficult are they going to be?
I think this is going to be a very big challenge for us. I think this is a team that feels very strongly. They should have won 6 games a year ago. They're battle tested. You know, they played in venues like the Swamp and the Coliseum, and you know, they backed our game up by going to Washington and Washington State. And so this is a team that's been on the big stage. You know, I don't care who they were playing against at Auburn. They put 34 points on Auburn at Auburn. And, you know, that's a Will Muschamp coach defense, and I'm very familiar with him, and I know how much pride he takes in playing good defense, and so that tells you a lot. I think they blew 2 leads in the second half against South Alabama and New Mexico State, back-to-back road games that were tough travel trips, and I'm sure Coach Petrino wouldn't want to make any excuses, but they're definitely 2 games that they had the opportunity to win that would have put them in a position to be in bowl contention.
You spent the 2012 season with Mike Bresky, right, at Washington State?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you just talk about your relationship with him?
Yeah, you know, Mike is obviously a longtime defensive coordinator at the University of Montana. Was there with Joe Glenn, went to Wyoming with Joe Glenn, and then came back to Montana. And I know Ty actually has worked with him and knows him probably better than I do, but, you know, worked very closely with him in 2012. I know Mike is, you know, Mike's kind of got the mindset of he's an aggressive play caller on defense. You're going to see a lot of pressures, especially on third downs, and there's going to be a bunch of movement. He's kind of a multiple front pressure defense is how I would describe what he does. A lot of fire zones, and I think it fits their personality right now. I think they've got some guys that are some playmakers for sure. The Siavi kid, the big safety, I really like him. I think he's a big physical guy. It's kind of like I told our team, I said he's a bigger Bryson McCabe. You know, very good sure tackler, does a nice job matching in coverage. They've got the big guy up there. They got 2 big guys. Number 44 is coming back, and 15 who, you know, played a bunch for him. Wasn't necessarily their starter, but played a bunch for him that kind of anchor the interior of their defensive line. Their buck linebacker, the Caden Ellis kid is coming back, and I think he's their leading returning tackler. And so I think they've got a good core there. You look at them, and they had 6 returning starters on defense, but 9 in the 2 deep that played significant downs. And then they're kind of filling in some pieces, I think, with some junior college transfers, a couple of guys that we actually recruited that ended up going to Idaho, and so we know what kind of players those guys are in the back end, and so I think that they're an interesting team. And I'll tell you one thing, one of their best players probably isn't going to get talked about a whole lot, but their kicker punter, the Rinkow kid, is a tremendous player. He might be the best pure punter I've seen on tape in a long time. Averaged over 50 yards a punt last year. and handles all three of their duties in the kicking game. And so obviously that's an area where you're looking at the tail of the tape and you're going, here they've got a senior who was a Ray Guy Award finalist a year ago and was very efficient in the kicking game, not only as a punter but as a place kicker and a kickoff specialist as well. And that's an unknown for us. And so I think those are all storylines that we've got to pay attention to, and we've got to be able to get in the game. And we're a young team; they're a veteran team. They're battle tested. We got a lot of uncertainty, and so I think that's certainly something that we're paying attention to as we go into this game.
Is that kicking game your biggest concern going into Thursday night?
I have a lot of concerns, but I think, and I don't really look at it like that. It's like I just want to see how these guys are going to go compete and play. That's the deal. We have a lot of things that are just unknowns. There's unknowns for those players about me and our staff, and we certainly have some unknowns for them. We've had the opportunity to practice against each other for a long time. Now we've got to go play a game, and we've got to find out who are the competitors, who are the guys that are going to rise to the challenging competitive situations in a hostile environment. And so, really, quite honestly, it can't get here soon enough for me. I want to see this where we're at and be able to gauge where we're at as a team and as an organization, so to speak, from top down. I'm excited to see these guys go compete.
Growing up, a big fan, going to all the games and stuff in the Dome. How exciting is it?
Well, I didn't get to go to all the games
Not all
because
the games, but,
because I lived in between Santa and Fernwood, Idaho. If you really want to get on your Google Maps and find out where that is, we didn't have anybody around us that had season tickets. So if I was lucky enough to piggyback with somebody, it was a fun drive. Moscow's one of the places that we would go to buy shoes or a new pair of 501s when I was growing up. We didn't have. We had a lot of we had places where you could buy Romeos and Carhartts in St. Mary's, but not a lot of places to go buy cleats and new blue jeans. And so that was a big day for me. They had a movie theater. That was kind of cool. Go to a movie, Pizza Hut, some of that kind of stuff. And so like I said, I just have a lot of really fond memories of being there. I've had the opportunity to coach there a number of times through my time at Utah State and Boise State. And I think it's a really, really good school, really good place. North Idaho's a special place to me, and we'll have a lot of supporters there and a lot of family and friends. And so that part of it, that happens. I had a lot of family and friends at bowl games that I coached in, and I got a job to do. It's a vacation for them, but we're focused on what we've got to get done.